Thank you very much. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem, amma ba'd. The most relevant question of modern age was raised by Nietzsche, who is the German philosopher. I think that was the real question, and still we are in search of that question. And that is the most fundamental question. Let me explain a bit of the background. Nietzsche portrays a madman who jumps into the main square of the city, and he announces that God is dead. And everybody looks at him in astonishment, and he says, "You don't know God is dead. We have killed him. We are all murderers of God." And that is just a parable. Nietzsche is going to raise a very fundamental question, which is in fact a cultural, civilizational question, and still the mankind is in search of that question. And we are you can say, facing the implications of that question. What is that question? When he says that God is dead, the death of God is not just death of God, it is death of everything. And we say there is a whole series after that: death of the author, death of mankind, death of humanity. So that is the beginning, that is the ultimate death. That is the death of God. So that madman says, after the death of God, he raises this question: whither are we moving now? Away from all suns, maybe? Are we not perpetually falling backwards and forwards, sidewards, and in all directions? Is there any up or down left? That is the question. Now, where are we moving when the God is dead? Are we not falling backwards, sidewards, forward, in all directions? So how shall we compose ourselves? That is the next line. How shall we compose? We are all decomposed. Our civilization, our literature, our art, our systems, our economies, our justice systems. Don't you know that the justice system of the world, not just Pakistan, it is collapsing. There is no justice in justice system. There is no prosperity in economies. Our commerce, our economies are so fragile. This pandemic has exposed the fragility which lies at the roots of our systems, which we cherish in the name of progress and civilization. The same is happening with art. And unfortunately, the only canvas which we are used to right now in the name of art is the mobile screen. That is how the concept of art is shrinking and losing its depth. Why? It never happened overnight. There are tendencies and strands and trends: minimalism, reductionism, relativism, existentialism, and such big names. The philosophies and trends and currents and undercurrents which led to this state of affairs. And now we are falling backward, sideward, downward, everywhere, without having any sense of direction, any sense of significance or achievement, and above all, any sense of belonging. Let me read another quotation which is very revealing, another quotation which brings home the dangers which our civilization is nurturing in its heart. Our civilization, like all civilization, every civilization, please remember, according to Hegel, nurtures the seeds of its destruction in its own heart. Our civilization is no exception. We are also nurturing our destruction very dearly in our heart. So what is that problem? It is by now a Sunday supplement commonplace that the postmodernism of the world is accompanied by a spiritual malaise. Malaise is a disease for which you have no cure. That has come to be called alienation, जिसके लिए उर्दू में बेहतरीन तर्जुमा है बेगानगी. आज इंसानियत का सबसे बड़ा मसला गुर्बत नहीं है, जंग नहीं है, बेगानगी है. हम बेगाना हैं, खुद से बेगानगी, दूसरे लोगों से बेगानगी, जिसको alienation कहा. At its most fundamental level, the diagnosis of alienation is based on the view that modernization forces upon us a world. Although baptized as real by science, it is denuded of all humanly recognizable qualities such as beauty, ugliness, love, hate, passion, fulfillment, salvation, damnation. It doesn't have any. So that is the plight of our civilization, our world in which we are living. We are all, most of us, we are teachers. Just walk into any classroom, read a good poem, and then look at the faces of the student. Read Iqbal, read Ghalib, read Mir, randomly quote Bedil, Hafiz, Rumi, bring a quotation of Ghazali, say anything out of the ordinary. out of the syllabus, out of the curricular scheme of studies, and you will be looking at the people staring in blank, having no idea what you have said. This was not the state of it. I remember my father used to tell me, he was in 8th class, he used to read Hafiz and Shirazi and Saadi, and they used to nurture the taste for literature and art in their hearts in schools. And they never looked into the faces of the teachers in blank when somebody narrated or recited any poetry to them. So where have we reached? Nietzsche is dead now, and he said God is also dead. Now where are we right now? There are two poles, two opposite extremes which we are facing with reference to art. One extreme says that everything is art. You must have seen people walking into the galleries, looking at the canvas, and the canvas is blank, and everybody is looking at that. Perhaps this is art. Everything is art. Nihilism, relativism, existentialism, Dadaism, these are big terms which we use in art. The second extreme and the second pole, which is exactly opposite to that says nothing is art. So from everything to nothing. Please remember, everything can be artistic, but everything is not art. Something can be artistic, but that doesn't mean it is art. This plate can be artistic because it has angles and curves, but it is not art. Art needs more than angles and curves. It needs more than precision. Art is not part, art is the whole. Ma'am used the word totality, which is very important. Art is totality. It is not broken, fragmented reality, divorced from the totality. Keats says, we look before and after and pine for what is not. Just looking before is not art. Just looking after is not art. Looking before as well as after, both these are two strands which combine and result into art. वो तो कीट्स ने कहा था. इकबाल क्या कहता है? अज़ल इसके पीछे अबद सामने, न हद इसके पीछे न हद सामने. हमारे पीछे अज़ल है और हमारे पीछे अबद है. ना हमारे पीछे हद है, ना हमारे आगे हद है. खुदी की बात है और इंसान की रिफ़त की बात है. तो इकबाल ने कहा, स्टिल आई हैव 3 minutes. इकबाल ने कहा कि अज़ल इसके पीछे अबद सामने, न हद इसके पीछे न हद सामने. Science is part. Art is not part. Science breaks things into different pieces and then looks into that. Arts look at the whole canvas and the broader canvas. Then it becomes art. We used to have a Plato, a Virgil, a Thomas Aquinas, a Rumi, a Goethe, a Tolstoy, a Dostoevsky, a Coleridge, Iqbal, Hali. But all that seems to have gone perhaps irretrievably because now we are worshipping postmodern idols in the name of art. And our nation, our people, especially our youth, is so afraid, so deprived and so complex ridden in reciting Iqbal. Perhaps it deprives them of their status ridden conscience. That is what is happening, and we see it because and we don't know who Iqbal was, who said Haki hu magar haq se rakhta nahi paivand. That is what he said about himself. And what should an artist do? An artist is not a mere depictor, recorder of the world outside. Iqbal has a great role for an artist. And what is that? Fitrat ko khirat ke रूबरू कर, तस्हीरे मकामे रंगो बू कर. This is the job of an artist. कि bring nature face to face with your intellect and then conquer the world of color and the world of fragrance. So I think denial is not bad. Even when somebody denies something, you have terms of reference to argue with that person. The real thing is disbelief. The title of my paper is Disbelief. We are living not in an age of denial, it is disbelief. Please, the difference is very subtle. We have to understand. Denial can be dealt with, but disbelief cannot be dealt with. When somebody says, okay, this is wrong, you can give argument, you can present reasons. But when somebody says, no matter whatever you say, I'm not going to believe, you can't say anything. That is the end of the argument, end of the debate, end of the world. And many people have wrote the end of history, end of civilization. They have written something. And that is, the real thing is conviction, yaqeen. Sun e tehzeeb hazir ke giraftar, gulami se battar hai beyaqini. What humanity needs today is yaqeen. Walk into any classroom any academic setting, ask the basic question, what does it mean to be human? Questions about sexuality, questions about human being, questions about happiness. These questions have become almost unanswerable because we don't know what art is in an age of disbelief. I thank you very much.